Like
Shaq,
Kobe was
Tim,
never
KG.
just like the face of the league. Like it was Jordan.
Yeah.
Then
It was that. I just get frustrated when people talk about the GOATs of the game and his name is not mentioned.
Yeah.
That's all, just mention all that. So it's just like they just surpassed him up and went from Mike to LeBron and they left him out.
Yeah, I think it's like cowardly, to be honest, like because they didn't speak about him like this when he was here.
Shaquille O'Neal is done staying quiet. 4-5 years is watch the world disrespect his brother. Watch the GOAT debates jump from Michael Jordan straight to LeBron James. Like Kobe Bryant never existed. Now Paul Pierce just crossed the line in the Lakers-Celtics rivalry.
like
Shaq,
Kobe was
Tim,
never
KG.
just like the face of the league. Like it was Jordan.
Yeah.
Then like because think about it, Kobe was young.
Yeah, for sure.
He was young when Mike
But
retired.
you
He
could
was
probably,
only
I
in
guess you could say it was Shaq.
and then you could probably say like Shaq or something like that,
'Cause
or
Shaq,
like
even
even
to this
Iverson
day,
for a year or
yes.
two.
Pierce said it on a podcast, on record, 5 years after Kobe died in that helicopter. Kobe was never the face of the NBA. And the man who shared a locker room with Kobe for 8 years, the man who won 3 championships with him under Phil Jackson, the man who stood at his memorial and called him Heaven's MVP, Shaquille O'Neal heard every word.
It was that. I just get frustrated when people talk about the GOATs of the game and his name is not mentioned. That's all, just mention all that. So it's just like they just surpassed him up and went from Mike to LeBron and they left him out.
Frustrated. That's the word Shaq used. And it's the word that should scare Paul Pierce. Because before this video is over, you're going to hear Shaq finish the case that Pierce just opened. You're going to hear Jason Tatum call Pierce a coward to his face. And you're going to hear the only man on earth who saw every game Kobe Bryant ever played reveal what Kobe whispered the night his Achilles snapped in half. It wasn't about his career. It wasn't about the pain. It was about Paul Pierce. Shaquille O'Neal isn't just any voice in this fight. 4 NBA championships, 3 of them with Kobe under legendary coach Phil Jackson. 8 years sharing the same locker room, the same practices, the same final stages. 15 All-Star selections, League MVP, 3 Finals MVPs, the most dominant center in NBA history. He saw Kobe Bryant up close every single day for the best years of both their careers. He fought him, argued with him, won with him. And when Kobe died in that helicopter on January 26, 2020, Shaq stood at his memorial and called him Heaven's MVP. So, when Shaquille O'Neal speaks on Kobe Bryant's legacy, he isn't sharing an opinion. He's delivering a verdict. And the man delivering the receipt is even closer. Gary Vitti, 32 years as the head athletic trainer of the Los Angeles Lakers. He saw every championship from Magic to Kobe. He's the only man on earth who can say he watched every game Kobe Bryant ever played. When Gary Vitti tells you what Kobe said on the worst night of his career, you listen. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Kobe Bryant didn't just play in his era. He defined it. He didn't share the throne. He took it. From the 2008 Olympics when he led Team USA's Redeem Team to gold through 2010 when he won his 5th ring with Pau Gasol, Kobe was the face of the NBA. His jersey was the highest selling worldwide. The Mamba mentality became basketball gospel. And the men who actually played against him know it. The men who lost to him know it. But Paul Pierce wants you to forget.
And so I say to him, I can get you a chair. And he looks down at me and he says, fuck Paul Pierce. That's for you. Okay. Because you remember in 2008,
He had the boo-boo,
okay, he got the boo-boo and he took him off on a wheelchair.
and he came back.
And then he came back and kicked
Yeah.
our ass.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay. Think of the mentality.
Sicko.
Okay.
Sicko.
You just rupture your Achilles and you're sending a message to Paul. Fuck Paul. Who cares about Paul Pierce at this?
Lakers versus Warriors. Kobe drives left against Harrison Barnes. His Achilles tendon ruptures. He's 34 years old. His career is essentially over in that moment. He doesn't know it yet, but is about to send a message to one man. Vitti tells it like he's still living it. Kobe just tore his Achilles. Is standing on one leg. He won't sit down. He walks to the free throw line. He shoots both free throws with a ruptured Achilles. Then Vitti meets him on the court to take him back to the locker room.
Yeah, I think it's like cowardly, to be honest, like because they didn't speak about him like this when he was here.
Read that again. The first thing Kobe Bryant thought of when his career was ending was Paul Pierce. 5 years earlier, 2008 NBA Finals, Game 1. Pierce went down clutching his knee. The trainers wheeled him off the court in a wheelchair. The whole arena thought his series was over. Less than 2 minutes later, he was back. He hit back-to-back threes in 22 seconds to take the lead. The Celtics won that game. They won that series. They beat Kobe. Kobe never forgot. So when his own leg blew apart 5 years later, he refused the wheelchair. He walked it off because he was sending a message to a man who wasn't even in the building. That's the mentality Paul Pierce just disrespected. That's the man Paul Pierce said was never the face of the league. Paul Pierce played in Kobe's era. He lost to Kobe in the 2010 Finals, Game 7. Kobe walked off that floor with his 5th ring, with Pau Gasol and the Lakers completing their championship run. Pierce went home with nothing, and 15 years after losing to Kobe in those finals, with Kobe dead and unable to defend himself, Pierce sits on a podcast and pretends the Mamba wasn't who he was. Jason Tatum saw it. The current Celtics superstar, a man who grew up worshipping Kobe Bryant, and Tatum called it exactly what it is.
But now that Kobe isn't here, we want to bring up the times where he wasn't as efficient or he shot long twos. Now that he's not here, you want to try to erase history.
Cowardly. That's a current All-NBA player wearing Celtics green, calling out the most famous Celtic of his generation for being a coward. Erase history. That's what Pierce is trying to do, but history doesn't erase that easy. Not when Kobe's brother is still alive. Not when the men who lost to him every night are still talking. Shaquille O'Neal won 4 championships, 3 of them with Kobe Bryant under Phil Jackson's coaching. He played alongside him for 8 years. He saw what Pierce never could see, because Pierce was on the other bench losing. Shaq tells the story of why Kobe was different. Ask for 50, deliver 60. That's the last game of his career, 20 years in the league. Achilles still scarred. Shaq broadcasting on TNT told him to get 50, and Kobe dropped 60. Paul Pierce never had a last game like that. Paul Pierce never had Shaquille O'Neal ask him for 50 on live television. The men who actually tried to stop Kobe over the years tell a different version of the same story.
Talk about Kobe and his competitiveness. It didn't matter how big or how small you were. He was gonna try to destroy you.
Yes.
And that's what separated him from everyone. He was an assassin. He would cut you, and by the end of the game, you didn't know that you were going to bleed out.
An assassin. Nobody who actually guarded Kobe talks about him the way Paul Pierce does now. The men who lost to him every night sound traumatized. The men who played him in the finals call him an assassin. The man who shared his locker room calls him a carbon copy of Jordan. Only Pierce, sitting in a studio 15 years after his last meaningful game, wants to pretend it was something less. And the Hall of Famers Kobe studied as a teenager, he stole their entire game. A Hall of Famer trained Kobe in his own moves. Kobe took music, then he used those moves to beat him. That's not someone who was never the face. That's someone who built himself into a god while everyone else was sleeping. While Pierce was sleeping. From 2000 to 2002, the Lakers won 3 titles in a row under Phil Jackson. They went 15-1 in the playoffs in 2001. They never lost a finals during the three-peat. Paul Pierce watched all of that from his couch in Boston. You heard Shaq say he was frustrated at the start of this video. That was just the warm-up. Because when Shaquille O'Neal sat down on the Straight Game podcast, he didn't stop at frustrated. He delivered the full closing argument.
Every time he played me and I posted him up and I got it, he would always come over to me and sneak it in my ear. OG, man, why you keep killing me on these post-ups, man? You gotta teach me that. We used to stay after practice in LA, and I used to teach him the post-up game. Then he used to fade away. He took it all. He'd face you up.
A carbon copy of Mike. Said by the man who shared a locker room with him for 8 years. Said by the man who watched him grow from an 18-year-old kid into the man who would finish what Jordan started. I will say this, that Kobe is a carbon copy of Mike. So, if Mike is the guy, how is Kobe not right there? That's the greatest question ever. If Mike is the GOAT, and he is, then Kobe is right there. Paul Pierce isn't. Paul Pierce never was. Here's what Paul Pierce will never have. He'll never have what Shaq and Kobe had. He'll never have the moment Shaq has been telling for 25 years. NBA Finals 2000, Game 4 against the Pacers, overtime. Shaq fouls out. The Lakers are in trouble. The dynasty is on the line.
I just get frustrated when people talk about the GOATs of the game and his name is not mentioned. Like I don't care who you pick, whether it's Michael, LeBron, or Kobe, but just mention all the names. That's all. Just mention all the names. So it's just like they just surpassed him up and went from Mike to LeBron and they left him out. So I would like to hear all the recipients and then let the people pick. You know, he's a carbon copy of Mike. Mike's a grade, so it has to.
Don't worry, big fella. I got it. And you took over. Don't worry, big fella. I got it. That's a 21-year-old kid telling Shaquille O'Neal not to worry in the middle of an overtime period. And then, he went out and won the game. Pierce never won a championship without Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Kobe won 2 without Shaq in 2009 and 2010 with Pau Gasol as his co-star, proving he could lead a championship team on his own. And Shaq saw it coming before anyone. Remember.
I would say this, that Kobe is a carbon copy of Mike. So if Mike is the guy, how is Kobe not right there? That's the greatest question ever.
18 years old, telling the most dominant force in basketball that he was going to surpass Michael Jordan. And the rest of his life was him trying to make that prophecy real. Paul Pierce was 18, too, once. He didn't tell anyone he was going to be better than Michael Jordan because he knew he wasn't. But here's the part nobody wants to talk about. Kobe never got to defend himself. Not against Pierce, not against anyone. January 26, 2020, a helicopter crashed into a hillside in Calabasas. Kobe, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna Bryant, and 7 others died. Shaq found out from his son.
My favorite Kobe moment is in the finals in Indiana. I file out, and you put your hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't worry, big fella, I got it." And you took over.
The night before he died, LeBron James passed Kobe on the all-time scoring list. Kobe sent him a congratulation tweet. Hours later, he was gone. And Shaq has carried something heavier than anyone since that night.
What you told me one day in the forum, when I first met you, you said you were going to be the finish it for me.
What, the greatest player of all time?
And then you actually said I'm going to be the Will Smith of the NBA.
2 brothers. That's how Shaq describes it. 2 brothers, not enemies, not rivals. Clip 14. Brothers. A text. That's what Shaquille O'Neal would trade his championships for. One text to Kobe before that helicopter went down. That's the man Paul Pierce is dragging through the mud. A man who can't text back, can't sit on a podcast and respond, can't walk into Pierce's studio and look him in the eye. A man whose teenage daughter died with him. And Pierce went on the air and said he was never the face. That's what Tatum meant when he said cowardly. That's what Shaq meant when he said watch your mouth.
And I was just watching the night before when LeBron passed him up. I was like, y'all bullshit. It's a hoax. Stop it. And Shoney called me crying. And I said, hold on, let me verify it. And I called my guy from the sheriff office. He said it was true. I started crying.
Kobe Bryant wasn't a great basketball player. Kobe Bryant was a man who told Shaquille O'Neal at 18 years old that he was going to be better than Michael Jordan. And then, he spent the rest of his life proving it. He was the assassin opponents couldn't sleep before facing. He was a kid who stole every great move from every Hall of Famer who would teach him. He was the brother who told Shaq, "Don't worry, I got it," and went out and won the game. He was the man who ruptured his own Achilles and used his last words on the court to say, "Fuck Paul Pierce." He was the face of the NBA from 2000 to 2010. And 5 years after he died, Paul Pierce...
Like, damn it, I didn't even holler at him. Last time, we did the sit-down everybody was waiting for. That's the last time I hollered. Like, I didn't get the number. I didn't text him. I didn't holler him. And that still haunts me. All the shit we went through, we could have shook hands and put that aside. Because people think it was worse than it was. It's just 2 brothers going at it. 2 guys with, difference.
Pierce thinks he can erase that. He can't. Shaq won't let him. Tatum won't let him. And his fans, the ones who watched him every night, who copied his footwork in the driveway, who shouted his name throwing paper into trash cans, we won't let him. Kobe doesn't need defending, but Paul Pierce needs to watch his mouth.
The only thing I regret is I could have hollered. It don't take you no time to be like, hey man, what's happening? Like a text or something. I never did it, he never did it, and that's what hurt me the most.
If you think Pierce owes Kobe an apology, hit that like button right now. If you disagree, if you think Pierce had a point, drop a comment and explain yourself because the rest of us want to see it. And if you're sick of the disrespect to the 90s and 2000s era, subscribe. We're not done defending it.